everyone, you read the title. So you may be wondering how to create and manage and update your resources in Azure. You may hear about of one of these tools: CLI, PowerShell, Cloud Shell, ARM template, and also Bicep. My name is Sarah Allali, and I'm a Microsoft Technical Trainer, and I'm here to help you with all these tools. Just follow the video. But before deep dive into these tools, let's understand Azure Resource Manager. Azure Resource Manager is the deployment and management service for Azure. It provides you the management layer that enables you to create, deploy, manage, delete, and update resources inside your subscription. This management layer is going to have an endpoint that connects all the tools from REST API, Azure CLI and PowerShell through the SDKs, and also the graphical interface, which is Azure Portal. This layer is secure and provides access only with authentication. When you send a request through any of the tools, Azure Resource Manager is going to check the authorization related to who and where the access is done, and then allow to deploy, update, or modify the services using the rule-based access control and the right policy needed. Once the access is allowed, Azure Resource Manager is going to communicate with something called Resource Provider. This is a collection of REST operations that provides you functionality for an Azure service. For example, the Key Vault service consists of a resource provider named Microsoft Key Vault. Now, let's go and look into the different tools. Let's start with the first tool, Azure Powershell. Azure Powershell is a command line shell and scripting language developed by Microsoft. It allows users to automate tasks and manage configurations, Azure resources, which provides a comprehensive set of commandlet and modules specially designed for Azure management. It enables flexible automation of various of Azure tasks by leveraging scripting capabilities of PowerShell. Azure PowerShell integrates well with other tools and platforms, such as Azure DevOps. Let me show you now in the documentation what do you need to install to start working with Azure PowerShell. First, you need to install the Azure PowerShell. So, you should have already in your system PowerShell version 7 or higher, and then dependent to the operating system that you are using, Windows, Linux, or macOS, you will follow special steps to install the Azure PowerShell. Let's assume you have the Windows operating system. So it says that you should check the version, you should check if the modules was already installed. If it's not installed, then you could install the module related to Azure, the AZ modules, using this commandlet. Once installed, you could start working on it. Let me show you how to work on it. First of all, you connect to your AZ account by using the connect AZ account commandlet. Once I click on this commandlet, it's going to put for me a pop-up window where I could put my credentials, and then I will be having access to my subscription to deploy resources. Then I could check all the resources I have in this subscription, get AZ resource group, once I read the list of my resource group, I could decide if I want to create a new resource group. So I will be using only the new AZ resource group. As you could see that all the commandlet in PowerShell are made of a verb and then something expressing what are you going to do. For example, we had get AZ resource group to get the list of my AZ resource group. Now I want to create, so I'm going to use the new. And you could probably also in some commands use the set command. So I will be given the name, let's say resource group 1, and then the location, let's say East US. You should be careful when you give the names. It's really important to respect the naming convention when you give the name of your resource group. So it created for me my resource group and I will be able to see it. So that's how easy using Azure PowerShell. And then to know how the commandlets works and how to use them, you should be visiting the documentation, the AZ PowerShell module reference and documentation. So I could check, look for the modules that I want to work on, for example, AZ CDN, and then I will be looking what I want to do. For example, remove the content from CDN. So I will be clicking on it and it will provide me with the syntax of how to use it and also with examples to execute it in my subscription if I want to when connecting to my Cloud Shell. The second tool that I want to talk about is Azure CLI. Azure CLI is also a powerful and versatile command line tool provided by Microsoft for managing Azure resources. With its cross-platform capabilities, it allows users to interact with and manage Azure services from Windows, macOS, and Linux environment. So if you have a really good background Linux as an administrator, maybe you will be more interested with this command line interface. Let me again also show you how to prepare working on this. Also for the Azure CLI, you need to install it. You should also look at the operating system that you are using, and then once you look to your operating system, you could follow the steps to install the Azure CLI on your computer. Once installed, you could start running the commandlet. For example, let's start with login. Let the way we have done it with the PowerShell. So I should use the command AZ login. So you notice that the commandlet in CLI are using space between the words to express what is the command. Once I click on AZ login, it's going to give me with a pop-up window where I should provide my credentials and then I will start working with my Azure CLI. So now that I'm connected, I create resource group by using AZ space group create -L for the location, let's say West US, and the name, which is, let's say, my resource G. Once I do so, my resource group will be created and I will be receiving the information related to the creation of my resource group saying that was successfully created. Now let's move on to the third tool, Cloud Shell. Cloud Shell is a browser-based command line interface and development environment offered by Microsoft Azure to manage Azure resources and perform tasks directly from a web browser. It has a pre-configured tools and utilities such as Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell. Users can execute commands, write script, and automate operation without the need for local installation. You could also store your configuration securely in the storage attached to this Cloud Shell. Additionally, Cloud Shell offers an integrated browser-based editor for convenient file editing and development. First, you need to access to shell.azure.com. You log in with your credentials, and then you will have the choice either to access to Bash for CLI commands or PowerShell for Azure PowerShell commandlet. Let's select the PowerShell. Once you're selected, you should create in your subscription a storage account to put your files securely in it. For example, we say storage mtt demo 478 and then my file share, and I create my storage for my Cloud Shell. Once you create the storage account and the file share, you will be able to access to your PowerShell to execute commandlet the way we have done it from my computer in the previous demo. We could also easily switch from PowerShell to Bash to execute CLI command if I needed to. Also, I could upload any file from my computer to this Cloud Shell session if, for example, I need an ARM template to deploy, or I will be needing a bicep file to deploy also from the commandlet, so I could do so. If I need to download any script from the Cloud Shell to my computer, I could use this. Then I could also open this code editor to write, for example, scripts and then save them as PS1 file for the PowerShell. I could also access any saved script in my storage existing in this Cloud Shell instance. And I could close my editor if I want to. At any time, I could look into the help to know more about the Cloud Shell documentation if I'm doubting of one of the documentation, so I could access it and read about it from that link. That's it related to the Cloud Shell. It's just based on the web browser. You could use it from the web browser and you're done. You could start working with it. Thank you so much for joining me on this tip. I truly appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to watch and support this channel. Get ready for part 2 where we talk about JSON and Bicep. Before we go, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. By subscribing, you will get more similar tips. I also invite you to leave comments below and share your thoughts, questions, or suggestions. You can connect with me also on LinkedIn too. Remember, I'm Sarah Allali. Once again, thank you for being part of this incredible community. Remember to stay connected and hit the notification bell so you're always up to date with the latest upload. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.